I never thought a harmless joke could destroy my entire life. I never thought the day we decided to prank my husband would become the day everything fell apart. It was supposed to be funny. Silly. A little revenge for how childish and forgetful he could be sometimes. But when he came back, when he walked through that door again, it wasn't him anymore. Not really. What happened to him out there changed everything. And now I can't sleep at night, wondering if I was the one who broke him, or if something else did. Tell me, was I wrong for what I did? It started like any normal weekend. My husband, Adam, had always been a bit of a goofball. Forgetful, clumsy, always losing his keys or leaving his phone behind. He was the kind of man who'd drive halfway to work before realizing he wasn't wearing shoes. He'd laugh about it, shrug, and call himself the world's biggest idiot. Honestly, I found it charming when we first met. That silly, carefree energy made me laugh when life got hard. But over the years, that same carefree attitude had started to feel more like carelessness. He'd forget important things, like our anniversary dinner, or picking up our daughter from school. I was tired of cleaning up his messes, literally and emotionally. So when my best friend Emma suggested we prank him during our group trip, I stupidly thought it would be harmless fun. We were heading out of town with a few friends for a short weekend getaway, a cabin about 3 hours from home. The plan was simple: some food, laughter, board games, and a break from the daily grind. But somewhere along the drive, Adam made one of his classic mistakes. He insisted he knew a shortcut, even though he didn't. He got us lost for over an hour. The GPS was screaming at him to turn back, but he was too stubborn to listen. The rest of us were frustrated, and Emma, always the mischievous one, made a sarcastic comment: maybe we should just drop him off in the middle of nowhere and see if his shortcut instincts can get him home. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. And in that moment, I made the worst decision of my life. We were driving on this long stretch of empty road, surrounded by nothing but trees and fields. The sun was setting, and there wasn't another car in sight. I leaned over to Emma and whispered, "What if we actually did it? Just as a joke." She looked at me, eyes wide, then grinned. "You wouldn't." "Oh, I would," I said, half laughing. I told myself it would be a lighthearted prank, something to teach him a lesson for once. We'd drive maybe a mile ahead, wait for a bit, then come back to pick him up after he freaked out. That was it. Simple. When Adam got out of the car to take a quick bathroom break, we quietly agreed to the plan. I pretended to be annoyed and told him to hurry up. He smiled and said, "Relax, I'll be a second." That's when Emma whispered, "Now," and she hit the gas. The others burst into laughter. I laughed too, at first. We watched him in the rearview mirror, his figure growing smaller as he waved his arms, shouting something we couldn't hear. It was just a joke. I kept telling myself that. We drove down the road for maybe 3 or 4 miles, parked near a small diner, and waited. 5 minutes turned into 10. I texted him, "We're coming back, calm down." No reply. We turned around and drove back down the road. Only, he wasn't there anymore. The spot where we left him was empty. His backpack was gone. The sun had dipped below the horizon, and the woods around us were starting to look darker. We called his name, drove up and down that road multiple times, headlights sweeping across the trees. Nothing. I started to panic. Everyone told me he probably started walking toward the diner we'd stopped at. But when we got back there, no Adam. No messages. No calls. I remember my heart pounding as I called his phone. It rang twice, then went straight to voicemail. We waited for another hour at that diner. Then 2. By midnight, I was in tears. Emma tried to calm me down, saying he'd probably hitchhiked or found a ride. "He's fine, Mia. It was just a joke, don't freak out," she said. But I couldn't shake the sinking feeling in my stomach. I knew Adam wasn't the type to hitchhike. He was afraid of strangers. He didn't even like ordering food over the phone. We finally called the police around 1 a.m. They asked all the standard questions: when was the last time we saw him, what was he wearing, did he seem upset? I could barely answer. The guilt in my voice must have been obvious. I told them it was a prank that went wrong, and the officer just gave me this look, like he couldn't believe how stupid we were. They said they'd send a patrol to search the area, and told us to stay put. We stayed at that diner all night, staring out the window, hoping he'd walk through the door. But he didn't. Not that night. Not the next day either. 3 days later, they found his phone in a ditch near the edge of a forest about 8 miles from where we'd left him. No sign of him. Just the phone, screen cracked, battery dead. My world started to crumble. The police treated it as a missing person case, but the whispers around town were worse. Everyone blamed me. My own parents called it cruel and inhumane. Even Emma stopped returning my calls after the second week. I barely slept, barely ate. Every time the phone rang, I'd jump, praying it was him. It wasn't until the third week that I got the call. A local farmer had found a man matching Adam's description walking along a dirt road about 40 miles from where we left him. He was alive, but barely. When I got to the hospital, I didn't recognize him at first. His face was sunburnt, covered in scrapes. His eyes were hollow. He'd lost weight, his clothes torn. When he saw me, he didn't smile. He didn't even speak. He just stared. The doctors said he was dehydrated, malnourished, and disoriented. He'd apparently been wandering through the woods for days, maybe even longer, surviving on rainwater and whatever he could find. When I tried to talk to him, he just looked at me with this expression I'll never forget, like he was seeing through me, like I wasn't real. The man I knew, the goofy, talkative Adam who made bad jokes about everything, was gone. Replaced by someone cold, quiet, distant. He barely said a word during the first week he was home. He wouldn't eat meals with me. He'd flinch if I touched his arm. Every night, I'd wake up to find him standing at the window, just staring out into the dark. So that's the situation I was in, I remember thinking one night, sitting in our living room while he silently rocked in the corner. I ruined him. Or maybe something else did. What would you have done in my place? Seriously, before I tell you what happened next, tell me what you think. Was it my fault for starting the joke, or was it just a tragic accident that went too far? After a few weeks, I begged him to tell me what happened out there. He never gave a straight answer. Just fragments. The trees move at night, he once whispered. Another time, there was someone following me. I thought he was hallucinating, maybe from trauma or dehydration. But then things around the house started changing. He began locking doors. Not just at night, but during the day too. He'd double-check windows, cover mirrors with sheets, and leave little piles of salt near the corners of rooms. When I asked why, he said, they can't cross salt. I tried to convince him to see a therapist, but he refused. He said the therapist wouldn't believe him. That it was real. I had no idea what it was. Until the night I found the journal. I discovered it tucked under our mattress one morning when he was out back. It was a small, weathered notebook filled with shaky handwriting. The first few pages were what I expected, notes about the days after we left him, how he tried to follow the road, how he got lost. But then, the entries turned strange. He wrote about hearing voices calling his name from the woods. About shadows that didn't move like they should. About finding footprints beside his own when he woke up. And near the end, one line repeated over and over again, it followed me home. That night, I heard footsteps in our hallway. Slow, heavy steps that didn't match his usual shuffle. When I got up to check, the hallway was empty. But our back door was wide open. Adam was standing outside, staring into the trees. When I called his name, he turned slowly, and his eyes looked wrong. Glazed, almost empty, but with something behind them. He whispered, "It's here." I told him to come inside, but he shook his head. "It doesn't want me anymore," he said. "It wants you." I slammed the door shut, locked it, and called the police again, telling them my husband was having some kind of breakdown. But when they arrived, he was gone. They searched the woods for hours and found nothing. His footprints stopped about 10 feet from the back porch. Just stopped. Like he'd vanished. For weeks after that, I heard noises outside at night. Scratching on the walls. Faint whispers near the windows. Sometimes, I'd see something move in the corner of my eye, a tall, dark shape just beyond the tree line. I thought I was losing my mind. I even checked myself into a hotel for a few nights just to get away from that house. But the second night there, someone slipped a note under my door. It was written in the same shaky handwriting as Adam's journal. It said, "Don't leave the lights off." When I came back home, everything felt colder. The air, the walls, even the floorboards creaked differently. And then, one night, I woke up to the sound of humming. Adam used to hum when he cooked breakfast, this silly tune he made up years ago. But now, the sound was coming from the hallway outside our bedroom. I got up, trembling, and opened the door. The humming stopped. The hallway was empty, except for a small pile of salt on the floor. The same kind of salt Adam used to leave around. The next morning, I found muddy footprints leading from the back door to our bedroom. They weren't his shoes. They were bare, wide, and too long. I don't know how to explain what's happening anymore. The police think he ran off again, maybe delusional. My friends don't talk to me. Emma moved away last month, said she needed space. I can't blame her. Every night feels heavier, like the air itself is watching me. Sometimes, I still hear the door creak open on its own. Sometimes, I catch a glimpse of a figure standing just outside the window, tall, still, almost human. And every time I look away, it gets a little closer. I've tried to move out, but something keeps me here. Maybe guilt. Maybe something worse. Because deep down, I know he's still out there somewhere. Or, maybe what came back wasn't really him at all. If you've listened this far, tell me, what do you think? Was I the one who caused all of this? Did I deserve what happened? Or was there something in those woods that none of us could ever understand? Like this video if you were on my side, or if you think I got what I deserved. Subscribe for more stories like this one, and please, share your final thoughts in the comments. I really want to know if you think what came back that night was still my husband, or something else entirely. I'll see you all in the next story.